It's Sinix again, and it's time for another episode of Let's Explore DeviantArt. It is March 28th, and this is what's popular today. So let's jump right in. Song to start. Oh, I'm sorry. Song of Start to the End. That is a hard name to say. So it looks like we have a nice drawing. I really like this car jumping out at me. Okay, it's digital art. I wasn't sure at first because this car looks kind of watercolory. It's a really nice car, though. Yeah, so we got this girl. She looks like she's going on a trip or something. So, this foreground stuff, I like the line art that's going on. It looks pretty good from a line art perspective, but I'm not really feeling these colors. First of all, the background is just really overpowering. It's jumping out at you and kind of fighting with the foreground for your attention just because there's so much contrast. And I don't really understand it. I mean, obviously you got some. It's like a different style too, which is really conflicting. It feels very just completely different. And the same goes for these trees. The foliage just feels like it's in a different style than everything else. So there's a lot of conflicting styles going on. Yeah, there could be better depth of field going on back here. These trees in this background area are pretty basically they're the same saturation and values as some of the stuff in the front. So yeah, there's not really any depth shown in the color wise. In the color area, there's not much depth showing. And I don't like the background. I think it would have been better with a more simple background. Let you focus on the actual illustration instead of fighting with it. And this grass in the front also issues with it. Yeah, it's once again it's the same kind of saturation and value as the stuff in the foreground. I'm sorry, everything in the foreground is the same as the stuff in both the middle ground and the background. So really need to show some variance there. It also kind of has, for some reason, it feels like it's a layer that has that generic Photoshop grass texture with it and like a stroke on the outside. So it kind of looks awkward, like you can see in parts like this where it's obviously just a big block of texture with like a stroke around the outer edge. So yeah, I'm not really feeling that, but the character and stuff, there's some good colors going on here, and once again, the car looks awesome. I love these kind of old stylish cars that really look cool when you're doing them with anime and whatnots. So yeah, I don't like the shadow either. Shadow's kind of awkward. So it looks like there's some good line art going on. Just not feeling not feeling the colors. Yeah, too much style clashing. Let's move along. There's a sketch stump IV4 or IV, take your pick. Let's zoom this in. Ooh, this is gonna load slowly. So, it looks just like your generic sketch stump with a bunch of different sketches. This looks traditional. I'm guessing this is pencil. Got some marker stuff over here. So, that's always nice to see some traditional stuff. Yeah, this guy's got a pretty distinctive style going on. There's not much variation there. He's got this very strong style. Is Adrian Brody really this girly? I didn't know that. I didn't know he was that kind of fashionable and I don't know. Is he the type of person that has a little dog? Well, whatever. I don't know what this person's trying to comment on with Adrian Brody, but oops. Maybe he is. This Black Swan stuff is a bit I don't know. It's a bit flat. I guess that could have been what he's going for. But here, let me zoom down so you can see some of the other stuff. Obviously, with this other stuff, he's got a nice vibe going. It's kind of that old World War One, I want to say, kind of timeline. Oh, I know there's a name for it, but that's okay. See, and this has more depth with the eyes and the nose. There's more colors going on in some of this flat stuff up here. Like this one is a bit too gray and just kind of lacks that depth. But yeah, these guys have a lot of character. I really like these faces. It's obviously a very, very interesting thing going on here. So a lot of interesting character expressions in both their facial features and in their actual physical expressions. So, some good stuff going on. Kind of, I don't know. I'm guessing this guy does comics or something. But yeah, he seems to have nailed that particular style quite well, so good for him. And let's move on to this little kitty. Oh, it's a baby lion and it's eating its tail. No, not its tail. It's eating someone else's tail. I guess it's its dad's tail. Oh, that looks painful. No one likes a teething lion. So that's a cute picture. I don't have any problem with it. It's like a nice little picture. Got good readability on the eyes and whatnot. Just good focus. Looks like it's looking back at you, which is really nice, and it's got some good expression going on. It's kind of funny that it's biting the tail. Really fuzzy looking ears and whatnot. So yeah, I like this. This is a good photo. It's not incredibly interesting. I think, it's probably loses some of its interest with the dark areas up here and whatnot. And just, some of the compositional stuff is, it's okay. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun picture anyway. What do we have here? Another giant big cat. This time it's a white leopard and it's a drawing. And this guy's got a gas mask with a leopard. Is there any sense to this? I'm gonna read the... No? I don't know. There's nothing really in the description that makes this make any sense. Looks like he's got... I hope that's snow on his head. There's random snow, but there's no snow elsewhere. And I feel like this piece is too dark. Yeah, there's a lot of darkness and just overall kind of flat with its values and saturations. It feels very flat, one-dimensional. I'm sorry, two-dimensional, because we're not just looking at a dot on the paper. Um, yeah, I don't like some of this line art that's going on with this stuff, where it feels like it's so highly contrasted that it just kind of jumps off the leopard itself with that pure black line art, where it's, you know what it is? It looks like he's trying to be painterly with with the leopard's coat and fur and whatnot. Yet he's kind of contrasting that with these black spots, and I don't know. I don't think it's that visually pleasing to look at. Skin tones are kind of meh. Obviously, things like the hands and stuff, there's not much personality in the skin tones. There's not much color variation. So stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the folds on the clothes are kind of a bit too strong too, a bit overboard. So, I don't know. I feel like this piece could have been improved a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, let me go back and look at it. Yeah, you can see from the thumbnail, it just kind of feels very dark and flat and doesn't have any real depth to it. So, let's move on. And we got, I don't even know if it's worth clicking on this. No, not that it's anything wrong with it. It's just a self-portrait of a tattoo on their shoulder, and it's black and white, so you can kind of see everything you need to see from this thumbnail. Um, yeah, okay, it's only fair to click on it. So, I guess this is mainly just to show off the tattoo, because obviously the black and white photography, it's not that great or interesting. It feels like it's mainly just here's the tattoo. And I don't know. I don't even think the tattoo's anything special. It seems to be just a bunch of crescents nonstop in different things, and I don't really know if it's supposed to mean something. Kind of has a compositional feel that makes your eye just go like wah 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 back and forth across the middle. And I don't know, it's kind of a bit nonsensical to me. So yeah, I'm not feeling that one either. I don't know, kind of feeling like a weekday so far. Stuff I like that are not necessarily physical objects. Oh, okay, I can see them. Air, ah, Panel play. Oh yeah, I guess that's fun. Breaking the fourth wall. Isn't that the same as panel play? Get back in here. Like, panel play is pretty much breaking the fourth wall. But enough about that. Computing. Sure. Minimalism. Nightmares. You like nightmares. And the philosophy of Tom Preston. Oh, okay. That's that guy that we always see as webcomics on the thing. Um, so, nothing here that's too funny. Kind of simple on the skin tones. And I don't know. I'm not really feeling this illustration where this style where it's like there's very simple faces and stuff with these big black eyes. These just round black eyes. I think that's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't create much personality, but that's kind of what you want in your webcomic is you want to be able to show as much kind of expression and emotion with the faces and the kind of art as you can, and I don't know how you're ever going to really do that with these just simple black eyes and these round mouths. I don't know. What else we got? Ooh, it's one of these look how much I've improved things where they redraw an old drawing. You can see right away that obviously when they were starting out they weren't very good with colors. And the main improvement, well, also anatomy, but the main improvement you see is just that jumps out at you is just that they finally learned to control their saturations and their colors. Everything's not full-blown pure saturation and pure darkness. Things are more subdued and subtle, and obviously there's some anatomy improvements and some slight improvements in just the way they color things. It's not just flat, like a grayer tone of the color. There's some actual hue variation going on, some saturation variation, things like that. Also, it's more kind of slightly more painterly instead of just being flat. But yeah, so there's some good stuff going on. You know what's really funny about this is that, obviously the drawing is a new drawing, it's updated, but the design really shows how kind of, immature it is just because how terrible this clothing design is here with this nonsensical bow off to the side, and it's just kind of like, oh, I kind of like those schoolgirl outfits. How can I make it my own cool design? I'll just put like a bow over here and put some lining. And yeah, this outfit, seeing it like render like in a better fashion just makes it look all the more terrible. It just makes it look more silly. But that's fun. That's okay. I'm sure it was fun to do that. So, yeah, obviously the anatomy's a big improvement. It's like they still don't have much of a chin and stuff, but at least they have more of a chin than in this one where it's like the chin's just going straight into the neck. So yeah, you're slowly getting more realistic. I would like to point that out. Slowly getting less of a iconic anime, but still very anime. So yeah, it's a nice improvement. Good job at improving your colors and everything, your anatomy. All right, what else we got? Oh, this looks painful already. Oh, haven't we already seen one that was basically this exact theme where they took something edible and drew little faces on it in Photoshop and had one that was a different color in the middle, and they're like, yeah, nonconformity, woo! Yeah. There's one good thing going on about this, and that is the fat Tic Tacs. I feel like if the whole thing was just these skinny Tic Tacs with this big round fat Tic Tac in the middle where it's sideways and just looks so wide and silly, like that might even be a better piece than just like, yeah, look at me, I'm different, I'm green, and be like, oh, I'm fat and depressed. I don't know. Would have been a different vibe, but it would have been funny. Yeah, I like the fat ones. Anyway, God, I'm not really feeling DeviantArt today, so I'm gonna be the nonconformist and talk about something completely different. So, here we go. Let's explore movies. So I saw Sucker Punch yesterday, and you may have read or seen some reviews for this movie, and they are pretty, I don't know, pretty unflattering. I think it has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is definitely in the see me after class percentile. But I have to say, I think this movie is actually good. I think it does exactly what it wants to do, which is just be silly and be fun and give you a lot of cool stuff to look at. It's definitely more of a have fun to see something visually pleasing, and a lot of the sound effects are really good, and there's some good music stuff going on. Although people seem pretty mad about the music just because, oh, they took a song I liked and covered it. How dare they? But that's kind of what Zack Snyder likes to do. You may remember the Dawn of the Dead remake had that, what was it, Down with the Sickness cover by Richard Cheese, and he kind of just likes to take songs you might know and make them completely different. So I understand that. I think it actually works pretty good. It makes it somewhat slightly more unique and memorable than just using the actual song. So I won't fault him for that. I wasn't a big Zack Snyder fan. This movie is definitely better looking visually than his previous ones like Watchmen and 300. I think 300 was a bit too monochromatic and some of the stuff just looked a little awkward. It was still a lot of fun though. It was very like kind of badassery, and it's just a fun movie. But this one, I feel like it captures the color palettes a bit better. Artistically, it just looks better scene to scene than that movie did. Each scene, I think this really highlights the importance of your storyboard artist, because each scene just looks like a painting in itself. It always has good depth and good colors and good composition, and it just jumps from like painting to painting to painting. And that's just kind of what this movie is. It's just a visual treat like that. Aside for being not really having any good plot or anything, it kind of reminds me of like an old Sergio Leone movie where you have your storyboard and it is just like paintings. I think he used actual traditional art paintings Sergio Leone did for his storyboard, which is why his movies have that just amazing compositional feel. Each scene just feels like it's a work of art. And this kind of tries to be the modern equivalent to that, where each scene just wants to be a work of art in and of itself. You could take probably any screenshot from this movie and use it as a wallpaper or something like that. So yeah, the reviews are just horrendous. I don't know. I think the problem is it is way too easy to write a bad review for a movie like this, just because it kind of, I don't know, its only weak point is when it does try to take itself seriously, and there's a couple points where it does, but it kind of has to just to sell the rest of it. I mean, you shouldn't take it seriously as a viewer, but it should try to take itself seriously just to add to just to let it soak in, all the other stuff soak in without seeming too awkward or jarring. So I think there's either like a stupidity to it, or there's like a really crazy genius to it all that just makes it work. So I don't know, and it doesn't really matter which one it is. It doesn't matter if it's purposefully silly and campy or not, if it's a complete accident. It really doesn't matter because it's fun to watch, and that's all that should matter. I don't really like to go into a movie expecting something preachy and intellectual, because honestly, everything's been done before to some extent. People talk about Inception like it was, brilliant and all that stuff, but Inception was basically the same thing, just a showpiece to do cool visuals. And I guess they sold the intellectual side better because people seem to buy it. It's like some deep, intellectual movie, like, yeah, it's dreams within dreams. But it was really kind of just as silly as this movie. But it's. I think it was actually better visually, but that's okay. This movie was great. It's great in a very different way visually. But they're both just showcases for visuals, and they're a lot of fun. I love it. I love that movies are just being this over the top and having this much dedication to just being fun to look at. Yeah, I mean, if you want life lessons, go live your life, because that's where life lessons come from. They don't come from movies. So yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. It does some stuff very well. I think one of the best things, its grasp on conceptual contrast, where every concept, every visual concept you'll see has a lot of contrast going on in the conceptual sense. Like you'll see swords and guns, or samurai with a giant Gatling gun, and it's just that constant mixing that just makes it very fun to look at. And I'm glad they understand that, because I feel like it's so great when you apply things that you would normally apply to like illustration, like contrast and composition and stuff, and you try to apply those things to ideas and concepts. Like, how can I make this concept have contrast? So when you look at something like a giant mech or a robot, and you give it, like, it's obviously very cold and lifeless, but you give it like a little pink bunny or something. Or I like to do that in my own work. I usually just give things a lot of color. Like if it's something very mechanical, you give it some bright, vibrant colors, and that just clashes with the nature of it to make it more just interesting to look at. And this movie does that pretty much constantly. And they also have some good design stuff going on, because it could have easily been really bad, but I enjoyed the designs. Some of them are like really silly and over the top, but take for instance the mech design. It's something that I really like, where they have the headless mech design, where you kind of operate it from inside the torso, and it's just like arms with guns. And you know, there were a couple things I didn't like about the mech design, but overall, like, I'm really glad they went with that style. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain. I will be putting up pictures, so you will be seeing pictures of just some of the stuff they do, where it's basically like a row of soldiers, and it just has this feeling of like a World War One movie. But then it's completely contrasted by these girls walking by in Squirrel Girl outfits and medieval armor with M16s and whatnot, and it's just so, I don't know, it's so silly yet fun. It kind of reminds me of like Ashley Wood stuff, just because it's so brazen, and it's like, this is what's fun, like zombies and hot girls and robots. Like, who cares? Let's just have fun in life. And that's kind of what this movie goes for. Although there is some weird stuff that, I don't know. This movie's kind of like, it has a lot of weird layers that are just going to confuse people, and I think that's why the reviewers are like unsure what to do. So it's a lot easier to be the one that just gives it a negative review than be the guy that gives a bad movie a positive review, because no one wants to be that guy. I'll be that guy, but don't worry, you don't have to be that guy. Because there's a lot of like conflicting stuff. You can say it's very misogynistic, and you know, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I don't know. I don't like the whole misogyny debate in terms of objectifying girls, because in art, you know, everything's objectified, and that's just kind of what you want. I don't know. You want things to be fun, but you also want things to be nice to look at, not just because of their either beauty or something. Like, I loved seeing the chef in this movie, just because when you see him, he's just got that like gnarly red face, especially when you see him like Fantasyland, where he's got that very like satined chef outfit in that first scene of him, and you're just like, wow, that is such a great looking this character design. And like all the characters are like that. There's such thought put into each one, and it's just so much fun to look at. So yeah, don't listen to the bad reviews. Don't go into this movie expecting anything deep. Don't go into any movie expecting anything deep. Just go in, have fun, see the great visuals, notice all the nice compositional effects and lighting effects, and just, you know, enjoy it from an artistic standpoint. And I guess that's not a popular thing to do, but whatever. It's like everything you enjoy seeing on like sites like DeviantArt wrapped up in a movie. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back with my painting faces tutorial probably in a couple days, because I'm actually working on it. So I'll see you later.